Muay Thai fighter, boxer, trainer at Boxing RX in Glendale, and the Outsider at in Hollywood. And also on top of that, you would have never guessed it because when you think of a fighter, you don't really think of a chef, but this guy actually went to culinary school. So a lot to get into today, and definitely an interesting guy. And fun fact, he actually trained me for a little bit. And you're a good trainer. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, bro. I
So
appreciate you.
yeah. So yeah, without further ado, let's just get right into it, man.
Hell yeah. Let's hear it.
Yeah. How are you? How are you today, by the way?
Good, bro. Can't complain. Appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, yeah, so let's just get right into it. What made you want to go into boxing from the beginning? I know you have a background in it right now, but like as a kid, what made you want to go into boxing and Muay Thai?
Man, I just wanted to play a sport.
Right.
When I was younger, any sport I tried to play in high school, whether it was like basketball or whatever, I just didn't like team sports. If I was gonna take a win, I wanted to take the win on my own. If I was gonna take a loss, I wanted to take the loss by myself. And I tried other sports that weren't as violent. I did swimming for a summer, and it was cool. It was a great workout for
It
sure.
is,
It just
yeah.
didn't satisfy that itch that I had. And then I went into a gym and I asked about their boxing classes. I'll never forget this. My first coach like looked at me up and down, and he was like, "I think you'd like Muay Thai," and that was 12 years ago almost. Yeah.
What was it that he was looking up and down and he thought you'd be good at Muay Thai? Did he ever tell you?
I think he never really said anything, but I do have pretty long legs in comparison to the rest of my body. So I think he just looked at me. He's like, "This guy has the legs to kick people."
Right. And they call Muay Thai the art of eight limbs. So it's definitely, a deadly one, deadly sport. I think it originated in Southeast Asia, if I'm not mistaken.
Thailand, yeah.
Thailand, yes. I've actually always wanted to do it, but I've never gotten the opportunity because
I'm
if
right in
you-
front of you, bro. What are you talking about? You never
Right.
had the opportunity. I'm right here.
you're right. There we go. But as we were training, I don't know if you remember, I was training boxing with you, but I
Yeah.
had a problem with my knees.
Yeah. I remember that.
How was it training Muay Thai? Like, walk me through how that experience is for you and like how did it shape you as a human being? Because martial arts is definitely a very humbling experience from what I hear across the board.
100%. I'm gonna get a lot of shit for this, but I do think nowadays it's become a little bit soft. Not soft, but softer
Sure.
than it was when I first started.
Right.
Because the first thing I ever did in my first Muay Thai class, there was 2 other guys in it besides myself. And I hadn't hit pads before. They didn't teach me how to throw a proper punch. None of that. I think I did a warm-up drill. I think I jumped rope. I jogged around the mats. And the first thing I did was spar. So the first thing I ever did was get punched in the face. So it's definitely humbling in the sense that you're going to be surrounded by people that are way better than you,
Sure.
but that in turn makes you a lot better. If you go in with the right mindset, like I never went in like trying to puff my chest out at anybody. I went in with the goal of I want to get good at this. So if you go in with that mindset, you're golden from there.
How long did you train Muay Thai?
I started doing Muay Thai and boxing when I want to say I was like 12.
12
Yeah.
years old?
Yeah.
And from what I remember from our previous conversations we've had, you trained for 6 months in Muay Thai, and then after that 6 months, you started competing. Is that correct?
Yeah, I had my first smoker. Yeah, about 6 months into the training, I had it booked. It was a nightmare because it kept getting booked. My opponent dropped out. Had to get a new opponent. That's commonplace though in the amateurs.
How was the experience though? Because it's one thing going into sparring, because when you're in sparring, it's more of a controlled environment
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you know that person doesn't really want to hurt you.
Depends.
Right, depends, but
Yeah.
usually I mean, but when you're in a competition, it really is to win, so they're gonna do anything they can.
100%.
So how was that experience as compared to sparring?
So for people that don't know, a smoker is just like a trial run,
Right.
Where it's kind of like controlled sparring,
Right.
But you have weigh-ins, you sell tickets, there's an audience watching you do it, but it doesn't count towards a record. It's just to see where you're at, just to see what level you're at before you get into actual competition. And I didn't do too well my first smoker. I did not do too well. I kind of froze when I got in there, and I was like, "What do I do? What do I?" Like, I didn't know what to do,
Right.
so I just ran after the dude and just kind of wailed on him. And when I saw a video of it, I was like, "Damn!" And then I looked at videos of me training in the gym. That's when I realized I was like, "Man, the way you train in the gym won't always translate into a fight." So it changed my perspective on that.
What do you mean won't always translate? Like you get nervous in the fight, or what's the situation?
You get nervous. Your jabs aren't gonna land the same
Right.
as if they do in sparring or on mitts or on a bag. So it was definitely a learning curve for me. But I would never trade that experience for anything. That was a one of a kind experience.
Do you feel like it developed? How does it develop your character? Because traditionally they say, it's for men, but now you see like men, women, everyone goes out and does it, or a lot of people do. How would you say that experience shaped you as a person? Because when you get punched in the face, it's nothing you learn in an academic environment. It's something you learn in a
would hope
university. I would hope not. Or like it's something you learn at the workplace, or at least I
Yeah.
would hope not. So it's a
Yeah.
very different, chaotic environment, I would
sure.
say. Controlled chaos, I would say. How is
100%.
it different? Like how does it shape you?
Damn, there's a lot of ways, man.
Right.
Like, it
We got time.
Yeah, we got plenty of time.
Yeah, yeah.
It really taught me how to stay calm in the worst situations. Because I don't think there's any worse situation than being thrown into a ring and there's someone in front of you trying to beat the shit out of you.
Right.
I can cuss on here, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
Whatever you want, man. We're open here. Whatever you want.
Yeah.
I don't care.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
like I said, there's nothing that's gonna put more pressure on you than someone trying to beat the crap out of you. in front of
Sure.
you. So that's really the biggest thing is it's taught me to just stay calm, stay cool, keep yourself composed, stay collected in any situation
I like that.
outside of the ring.
Outside
But
of the ring.
especially in the ring, you gotta stay cool in there.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I've trained too, not at the level and the years that you have trained, but anytime that I've seen myself getting nervous or fearful, it always like goes downhill. But whatever, I've trained judo and I've trained boxing and a little bit of wrestling. Whenever I was nervous, it was like you were just done from the beginning because mentally, if you're not there, then forget about it.
100%.
But if you're mentally there, even if you're not as good as the other person, you stick around for way longer than
Oh
you
yeah,
expect.
100%. 100%. They're even in sparring. Like I've sparred guys back in the day that were really good on mitts and looked really good on the bag, but as soon as you put a body in front of them, they get nervous. They don't know what to do. Especially if like they might be a little bit taller than you. They might be a little bit older, a little more experienced, a little
Right.
bigger than you. So, yeah, that'll definitely. Having someone in front of you will definitely change. That'll show where you're at as far as a competitor, as a fighter. That'll definitely tell you where you're at.
Yeah. So moving on from Muay Thai, because you did that, but I also know you did boxing.
Yep.
Walk me through why you transitioned, because it is a little bit similar, I would say, but it's still a different sport.
Very.
How was it? Yeah. What made you transition?
Honestly, and Muay Thai is a little bit intimidating.
Sure.
Like, I don't have a whole lot of private clients that do Muay Thai. I recently started teaching Muay Thai classes again at the Outsider, the boxing gym in West Hollywood that I'm at. But even that class, like I had to kind of coerce people into trying it out, especially
Coerce,
people,
okay.
like people that have never thrown a kick before. They're like, "Wait, you're gonna kick me?" I'm like, "No, I'm not gonna kick you, bro. Like, come in, try the class out."
Right.
But like I said, it's a little more, boxing is a little more inviting. It can be a little more fun if you've been to a lot of like cardio boxing gyms.
Right.
They're a lot more inviting. They're fun. There's loud music. There's a coach with a microphone cheering you on, all that kind of stuff. But that's really, I transitioned in the sense of that's what I started coaching more of. I started coaching more boxing than Muay Thai or any other sport or combat sport, just because it's a little more inviting than Muay Thai. But Muay Thai has always been my bread and butter. I train Muay Thai daily, all day, every day. Maybe not all day, but every day.
Every day. Right.
I got a job. I can't do that all day.
Right. What would you say is the biggest difference between, I know you said you kind of have to coerce people into it, jokingly, but what would you say is the biggest difference in people that you're training boxing and Muay Thai? Because it's just so different.
Honestly, the people aren't too different. It's really just a mindset because some
Right.
people don't. Some people think of it as, oh, it's gonna hurt more, which they're not. They're not entirely wrong.
Right.
But some other people are like, oh, that's too complicated. How am I gonna mix in my punches and my kicks? But they don't realize that the way you punch in Muay Thai is not the same as punching in boxing. It's very different. Your feet are different. Your hand position's a little different. A lot the basics are the same, but the fundamentals are different. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like the way I would teach you a jab in Muay Thai is not really the same jab I teach you in boxing.
Okay. Kind of wondering, because I did learn some boxing from you, but how would it have been to learn from Muay Thai from you? That would have been interesting. Yeah.
I mean, I don't think my coaching style would be too different because you know me, I'm not. I joke around, I have a good time,
Yeah,
I like
you
to make it fun, but I don't hold any back. Like I am that coach that will hit you if your hands are down, I'm gonna smack you.
Right. Right.
And if we're doing Muay Thai, if your hands go down, I'm probably gonna bring my foot's coming straight to your neck. Like
Yeah.
you better keep them shits up.
Yeah.
I do it with love though, I swear.
No, I mean, I could attest to it. So, but tell me, because like I was saying earlier, I really don't know anybody that goes from the martial arts world into culinary school. Like, how do you make that transition into going to, like traditional college? Instead of doing that, you go to culinary school, which is not something, you see a lot and it's very cool.
Yeah.
What made you even think about that back then?
Long story short, or long story longer. But I want to say I was 17 and I had just gotten a job as a bank teller at Bank of America. And I was like, cool,
Right.
this will be a good job. This will help kind of fund my fight career, I thought. But I didn't realize how much time because it was part-time, but I felt like I was working full-time because I was there every day except maybe like Tuesdays and Sundays. I was there every other day, like
Right.
9 to 5 and sometimes 8 to 6. And it was tough because like after that long shift of just sitting there doing basically nothing, I was exhausted and I didn't train as often as I did. So I quit the bank just to focus on my training and ran out of money. So I was like, fuck, I'm like, what am I gonna do? And I had known a chef that trained at the gym I was at the time. And she had put out an Instagram ad, or not an ad, but a story saying, hey, I'm looking for an assistant, et cetera, et cetera. Hit me up if you know someone who's interested. So I texted her. I was like, hey, are you by any chance still looking for an assistant? And she pretty much gave me the job right away. And she took me under her wing and taught me most of what I know today. And that's really what got me to fall in love with the culinary arts, because she made it fun for me. And she, just like all the other most of the other coaches that I've had, she pulled no punches, no pun intended. She really was like, you're gonna figure this shit out on your own. Like, I'm gonna teach you what I can when I can, but you got to put in the time and the work, which I was okay with because that's what I did in the gym anyway. So I kind of translated that same mindset into the kitchen, and that just brought me into that world.
Sounds like a good mentor, I would say.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's break that down a little bit. So you would go I assume, in her kitchen, and she would kind of break down the steps for you. And then when you were done with the day, would you go home and, buy some food and make it yourself? Or walk me through the process a little bit so we understand it better.
So on our shifts, we would cook for private events. We'd like more catering style. So it wasn't a traditional kitchen job experience.
Right.
But during our slower hours, she would show me some knife skills, different cuts, how to make sauces, how to make all that kind of stuff. So it was definitely another experience that I wouldn't trade for anything, because I learned a lot in that time, how to work under pressure, which I had a little bit of experience of in fighting, but Being in the kitchen with that kind of pressure is a whole nother animal, bro. I'll tell you that.
Would you say it's harder than
It's different, very
it's that
different.
you can't
Yeah,
compare
you
it?
can't compare it.
Okay, okay. I see. Because when I think of a chef, the word being under like the phrase like being under pressure, that never comes to mind. So
Oh
that's
man.
interesting to
Yeah, no,
hear.
it's a crazy game, especially other chefs that I've talked to who've worked. One of my other chefs, shout out Luis Aguares, but he
Shout out to him.
he
Yeah.
he had I believe I can't remember his history perfectly, but I do remember he was one of the chefs at the White House back when I believe I want to say it was Bill Clinton was in office. I believe it was when Clinton was in office. When he was one of his chefs, he had cooked breakfast for him, all that kind
Wow,
of stuff.
under Clinton.
So
Okay.
he was the one that really showed me what pressure was about. Like in culinary school, that's when I was already in culinary school, and he put me under a lot of good pressure. Nothing too scary, but it was good pressure.
Yeah. So, just to make sure I have the timeline down correctly, did that woman put you under her wing and then you trained a little bit, then you went to culinary school, or how was
Yeah,
it?
yeah. So when I started working with my first chef, she employed me when I think I'd already turned 18 at that point.
Yeah.
I trained alongside or trained. I worked with her for about 3 years on and off because the gigs weren't always consistent.
Sure. Yeah.
But I was always going to her house and she was always teaching me what she knew. And then after the pandemic is actually when I went to culinary school. So yeah, it was a long time before. It was 2018 when I got the job, and then it was what 2021 I think when I started going to culinary school.
Where did you go?
Culinary Arts Institute in Silmar.
Culinary Arts Institute in Silmar. Okay, I see. And when you're in culinary school, because I don't think I know anybody that's been besides you, so you're the first one. Uh, how is culinary school? Is it just very hands-on, you're in the kitchen, or is it theoretical too, like you're learning recipes and formulas, I want to call it, in a classroom setting, or what's the situation like?
It's a little bit of both. For those of you also don't, a lot of people don't know this too. I went to UCLA. I was in their paramedic program for a while, and we had lectures and then we had labs, and that's kind of how culinary school was. Like I would have food lecture, sanitation lectures, food history lectures, that kind of stuff early in the morning, and then mid morning, early afternoon is when we would make our way down to the kitchen and just start cooking up recipes. We had a whole recipe book that was given to us by the chefs, and we would just step by step get everything we needed for those recipes and just cook up. And we were graded based on the food wouldn't always turn out perfect, but it's the fact that we followed the right steps, and as long as the effort is put in, you were gonna pass culinary school. Obviously, they would ding it into you a little more to make sure you get it near perfect.
Right.
But
Sure.
for the most part, as long as they see you putting in that work, that's all they really ask for.
Uh, was it kind of like those TV shows where you put a plate in front of three, four judges? Is it the same type of style?
A little bit. It's not so theatrical like that,
Yeah.
but you know, in our groups, we would be broken up into groups. Sometimes we would make things on our own, but we would cook up, and then our chef professor would come up and just taste test it with us. Like he would want us to try it too, because that's one of the biggest rules as a chef. You got to taste your own food. So we would. It was great. It was great. We got free food all the time, every
Right.
day at school.
Yeah.
It was great. It was a great time. But yeah, no, we would cook up, and he would go to each individual group and would taste test the food with us. And I don't want to sound like I'm bragging, but I've never got a complaint from him,
There we go. There we
which was always nerve wracking because you're at least speaking for myself. I'm my own worst critic.
go. Yeah.
I could make something that's perfect in everyone else's eyes, and in turn, I'm appreciating the compliments I was getting, but in my head, I'm like, nah, I could have done it better. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not to any self-destructive degree, but I'm always criticizing myself.
Yeah.
When it
yeah.
comes to food, fighting, anything I do.
I'm really happy what you just said to not a self-destructive degree because if it, hits that point,
Yeah.
I've seen it in myself, admittedly, and other people when you do a very good job at everything
Yeah.
or at things that you're trying at and you're upset with yourself to a self-destructive degree, you're just running the other way and it's just horrible. But it's good that, it didn't affect you personally like that. So
Yeah, just lighting a fire under myself, you know what I mean? Just to
Yeah.
keep me going.
So we got high emotional intelligence too. I didn't know that. So we're learning a lot of things. I actually didn't know you went to UCLA.
Yeah,
You actually never
nobody
told
did.
me that.
Nobody did. That's
You
a
mind?
time. That's a time in my life I'm trying to forget.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, that was a weird time when like my fighting stuff wasn't really doing it for me anymore. I was kind of on a weird path, and a friend of my mom's, I believe, had told me like, you should try to get into the fire department. And I was like, I had never in my life considered, even when I was a kid, like I thought firefighters were cool and all that, but I
Yeah.
never said like I want to be a fireman. None of that.
Right.
But I was like, I was what, 20 years old, I think, and I was like, sure, like, what else am I doing with my life?
Right.
And at the time, like the gigs with my chef had stopped, and she and I hadn't been speaking at the time, and so I was like, let me just try it out, see what's the worst that can happen. You know what I mean? And UCLA had one of the best programs for that. One of the hardest, if not the hardest one, but I was up for the challenge, and I went over there, and oh my God, I had lost in the span of like what, 2 months. I think I lost like 20 pounds.
From the stress.
Stress. I would eat maybe once a day and not finish whatever I was eating. It was a rough time. It was a rough time. Studying was tough. Getting up and driving all the way there every day and coming back at the worst hours of the day was tough. It was rough. It was rough. But COVID actually saved me from that, because when I was studying for one of my last finals, and I had pulled an all-nighter for it. I felt good. I was like, I'm gonna get this A, or I'm a pass. I don't know about an A, but I'm a pass.
You're right.
I go in, and I noticed that the school's pretty empty. Like, there's not a whole lot of people walking around, but I didn't think anything of it. I'm running on no sleep and like a cup of coffee. So I'm walking over to my building after parking and getting coffee. I go into my classroom, and I'm like like lazy eye, eyes half open, and I go up to my professor and I'm like, "Hey, I'm here to take my test." And he was like, "Oh, you didn't get my email?" I'm like, "What email?" I kid you not, that's exactly how I did it. I'm trying to bring you there with me.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, come with me." I'm thinking he's gonna take me to a different room, a different building, or whatever. He walks me to the elevator, and he's like, "So we've suspended all our classes indefinitely." This was like
Wow.
the first stretch of COVID, and immediately I'd woken up, and I was like, "Dude, are you kidding me?" I'm like, after all this torment, like, you guys are canceling this? He was like, "Yeah, I'm so sorry. Don't worry about it. Like, you're going to get a full refund, et cetera, et cetera." So I'm like, I don't care about that, dude. All this time I put in, oh, come on. But then the frustration subsided pretty quickly, because I was like, this is good. No, this is a good thing. You didn't even want to do this anyway. Like, I was like, I'm going to fail. Once this COVID thing blows over, which took a while. But once it finally blew over, I was like, I'm going to culinary school. So, yeah.
So there we go. Okay. It's kind of interesting how things work out, right?
Yeah. COVID sucked, but that also opened a lot of doors for me that I didn't even know were possible. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it sucked, but for you personally, like it served a greater purpose in your life.
100%.
So that's awesome. Now walk me through dishes. Like, what's your favorite dish to cook for your? I want to say for you and or like family members, or like, I don't know, a girl you're dating or something. You want to impress some girl you're dating, something like that.
My girl's never complained about any food.
She never
I've cooked her.
complains?
She's
Okay.
never complained.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, unless she's lying to me.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
That's tough, man. That's really tough.
Because it's all a different like vibe, for you it's kind of,
Yeah,
it's different, and then your family, and then someone
Honestly,
you're dating, it's all different.
I gotta say, maybe a hot chicken sandwich. like Nashville hot chicken.
Like for yourself?
Yeah, only because I have a weird nostalgia for it. Because another thing that I don't think a lot of people know is I actually opened a hot chicken spot with a cousin.
I'm learning new. I didn't even know that either. So
It was out of his banquet hall,
yeah.
so it wasn't like we had our own. It wasn't like a Dave's Hot Chicken where we started in a parking lot and then got our own location. He had a location with a kitchen, which wasn't exactly built to cook up fried chicken.
Sure.
Well, I mean, we had fryers, but we only had like two small fryers that they would use for I don't even know what. But we made it work. We made it work. I taste tested a lot. I got to work with Debbie Solomon, who was one of Rihanna's personal chefs,
Wow.
and another male chef. I forgot his name, but shout out to them. They're awesome. They were great. They taught me a lot as well. Debbie Solomon actually made me fall in love with Jamaican food.
Jamaican food. Okay.
Yeah. So that opened up a new door, and she actually put me onto a restaurant in the Beverly Center called Yardbird.
Yardbird. Okay.
Yeah.
I have to try that.
She was like, if you love soul, you're gonna love their soul food because it's a soul food restaurant, but a little more high end, but it's so good.
Isn't
Couldn't
this
recommend it enough.
right? Isn't this interesting? How I guess you could say the universe works, how things work. That program closed up. Then you go to culinary school. You have a mentor. One of the chefs you just told me about worked under President Clinton. And then you meet Debbie Solomon, who's Rihanna's personal chef. And as we know, Rihanna has been one of the biggest artists in the world for at least a decade.
All you gotta say is her name, and everyone knows.
Everyone knows where, no matter wherever you
Yeah.
go. So it seems like a lot of doors open for you. Do you think this is a world that was like naturally inclined towards you because of all the opportunities you got? Do you think this is something that you're destined to do for a long time? Or how do you feel about that?
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
In a in a way I kind of put myself in a lot of these positions where I was never afraid to take risks. So anytime someone would come up to me and be like, yo, we should do this, I'm all for it. If it makes sense, I'm all for it.
Yeah, you really
know what
are
I mean?
like that. Yeah.
Like I'll think about
Yeah.
it, and then if it makes sense to me, I'll do it.
Yeah.
If it doesn't make sense, then I'll go with my gut. But like with the hot chicken thing was my cousin's idea because he came up to me and he was like, yo, what do you think about this trend? And I was like, I think it's hot. No pun intended. But and he was like, do you think you can come up with a recipe? I'm like, yeah, hell yeah, absolutely. And this was all before culinary school. This was right before COVID too. Ended up not surviving too long because I parted ways, but I was really proud of what I was able to come up with. Because then when I started making it at home, it really tasted like that restaurant quality to me and to a lot of my friends and family that came and tried it. So I was really proud of that. And that's why it kind of holds a special place in my heart. It might not be my favorite food,
Sure.
but because of my history with it, it hits home.
Yeah. And I know it takes a lot of work to run any type of startup, especially in the food business.
100%.
Yeah. So just to clarify, did you kind of just did you guys just have that inception of the idea and then you came up with the recipe, or did you open a physical location?
No physical location. It was all outside of it was done all outside of a banquet hall. It was all, the taste testing was done there, everything was done there.
Okay.
Mixing the spices, trying to figure out our scale system, everything, to our slaw, to toasting the buns, everything was done in that banquet hall.
Would you ever consider opening like a little startup restaurant, or maybe out like a truck or something like that? Would you ever consider doing that?
Yeah, definitely. I'm not looking into anything at the moment, but
Right.
that is definitely something I've thought about. Maybe not a truck. I haven't thought about that, but I have thought about opening up my own little spot. Because in culinary school, I actually took a menu planning class, and dude, I hate math. So I did everything in my power to avoid any math when I got to college, and I did a good job. And then culinary school was like, hey, dude, you're gonna have to do a little bit of math here if you get
Right.
into. And the menu planning class, had elements of business calc in it, and I was like, oh my god, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I was like, no, they got me. They got. But in that class, I got to plan out my own menu, and I was really happy with it. And my chef had actually reached out to me and told me like, hey, this is a really great menu. He's like, I love what you did with it, because like you kind of design it on your own. You kind of pick out your own font, and I did it all on my own. I didn't have anyone like this. I didn't send it to anybody. Be like, hey, design a menu for me. I kind of just did it on my own. And I was really happy with it. I was really happy with how it turned out. And that's probably, it was a soul food menu, funny enough. And that's kind of the direction I would want to go in, which kind of counters what I'm trying to accomplish in fitness and with boxing, because a lot of my clients are trying to lose weight.
Right.
So imagine me telling you to get 10,000 steps a day and track your food and make sure you're under a certain amount of calories. Meanwhile, I have a soul food restaurant.
Yeah. That's like a contradiction, but
Yeah.
but it's a cool contradiction. I like it. Yeah. So a lot of the times, we've seen a lot of definitely minority groups. I know we're both Armenian, but really in a lot of minority groups, you look into, especially those that have immigrated from this country, their first generation. Parents are very much emphasizing, go to school, make sure you get your degree, a professional degree in a field that pays a lot of money and has a lot of prestige, which is fine. It's okay to direct your kids that way. But a lot of the times, if the child, well, I know you're an adult, but at that time, like the kid wants to head a different direction. They want to be more entrepreneurial. Maybe they want to open a business. Maybe they want to go to culinary school. Maybe they want to fight. There's so many opportunities at the age of 18 years old. I mean, the world is your oyster. What do you think there was a point of contention when you wanted to go down your own path, or were your parents more on board with it?
There was a little bit, not too much. My parents, I feel like were all, not always, but sometimes they were quick to question what I wanted to do with my
Right.
life. But then they'd take a step back and be like, all right, let's watch him. Let's watch him. Let's see what he does with this. And if they see that I'm getting a little traction, or I'm getting if I'm getting good at it, or if I'm real passionate about it, then they'll be like, all right, cool. If that's what you're gonna do, that's what you're gonna do. But you better be the best at it. So that's pretty much the attitude they had. They're like, if you're not gonna go to school, a traditional school, and become a doctor, lawyer, whatever else, whatever you decide to do, you better be the best at it, or you better, at the very least, you better be damn good at it. It's funny you say that, because when I was in paramedic school or EMT school,
Right.
in one of my classes, there was a guy who was a lawyer. We were this was on our first day. The professor was going around to everybody and just asking them to say a few things about themselves. And one of the guys was like, "Well, I'm a lawyer." And the first thing my professor had said was like, "Then why are you here?"
Yeah.
And he was like, I hate I hate my job. Like, I hate what I'm doing, and this is what I want to do." And in my head, I was like,
No, good for him.
him.
Yeah.
man. I was like, you'll definitely make way more money as a lawyer than as an EMT or as a paramedic. Even, you know what I mean? And for him to just be like, that's not what I want to do. This is what I'm interested in. This is what I'm passionate about. And I'm like, more power to you, bro. I love to see that. And he wasn't old. He was maybe like in his early 30s.
Yeah, young guy. He was a
Young guy.
Yeah.
He looked like he was in shape. So
Yeah.
I don't think. Yeah, he was good. He was solid for that job.
Yeah.
Especially if he's passionate about it.
Because here's the thing about, I don't know if you know Dr. K, Healthy Gamer GG. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. He's basically like a mental health professional. He's a psychiatrist, but he also streams and he puts out his videos, on YouTube. And he was talking about, yeah, like we were saying earlier, you need to be good at what you're doing. But if you're doing something you hate, if you don't like it, if you don't like being an attorney, you are going to be behind the eight ball, because that big corporate company you're working for and someone else comes in,
Yeah.
they're going to blow you out the water if they're good at it and they like what they do and you don't want to be there, then, forget about it. So you do have to have a level of passion for that. So.
I agree 100%.
Yeah. Now tell me a little bit about the training, because I knew where I met you was at Boxing RX.
Yeah.
And then you're over at I know you're at both places, but you're at Outsider as well.
Yeah.
how's your experience at Outsider? Because I haven't personally been there. I went to another gym, but it always looks like a fun environment. Everyone's having a good time. And they're
Yeah.
learning something too. So tell me a little bit about that.
I mean, you've been to RX. You don't really need a whole lot of introduction to that. You already
No,
know.
not RX.
Yeah, you
Outsider.
know the
Right.
vibe at RX.
Right, I do. Yeah.
But the Outsider, it was a rough start for sure. We had a really good like opening night, opening week over there, but then it just kind of died down. Our weekend classes were always popping, but during the week was when there were days where we didn't have anybody at the gym. And now it's hard to find a morning where I don't have a decent crowd in the gym. And shout out to the owner, Autumn Daftian, man. He's a great dude, and he's given me a lot of opportunities. Like when I first started working for him, just the vibe, the energy and the vibe that I got from him right away after just an hour of talking to him, I was like, I'm gonna like working for this guy. And he I don't know how he got into this, but I believe he was sponsored by, I believe he was sponsored by the LA Marathon or the half marathon
Yeah.
that they started jogging, I believe, at Dodger Stadium, and I was lucky enough to get the runners warmed up. They put me on a stage, they gave me a microphone and all this kind of stuff.
Oh, wow.
And I just improvised like a little warm up routine, and it wasn't anything crazy. It was just like some jogging in place, doing some light stretching, and just getting the blood just getting the blood going. And I threw in a little bit of boxing. I was like, you guys don't have to be boxers, throw some punches. So I did like some straight punches, some uppercuts. I had a couple of people from the gym that were in front of me, in front of the stage that I was on, to help me out a little bit. So I was like, man, look at David over there. David's a rock star. Copy what David's doing. So he's definitely giving me a lot of opportunity to learn and to grow and to build my platform up. And it's a lot easier to do that when you've got a good team behind you and when you've got a facility as beautiful as the Outsider. It's a gorgeous gym. It's colorful. It's bright.
It's lively.
Yeah, for sure. And the people there, a lot of our dedicated members there, they're great. They're fantastic people, all of them. They're not just great athletes, they're great people, which makes training them that much better.
Yeah, no, that's good to hear. It's good that you're in a lively environment. So if there's anyone watching this right now, that there's a guy or there's a girl watching this right now, they're intimidated of physical confrontation, at the gym. They're afraid if they go to the gym to learn how to box or to learn Muay Thai that people are going to be intimidating towards them or confrontational.
Yeah.
They just have that anxiety inside themselves, but they want to try it anyway. A lot of people have been there. A lot of people have felt that way. Nothing to be ashamed of, but they want a solution. And you've been in that environment many times and you've fought before. I want to know, what do you recommend for that guy or girl watching this? What do you recommend they do to kind of get rid of that anxiety and go and compete or train or whatever it is?
To train, you just got to go in.
Right.
You just got to go in, ask around, ask some friends that maybe DM a couple of the people. You can even DM some of the gyms and they might get back to you. And it's very hard to find a gym that's not going to want to welcome you in. At least most, if not every single gym that I've been to has been super like welcoming, has been super friendly, and they'll never, especially if you have no experience. Like, I'm speaking for myself, but I can speak for a lot of coaches that I know personally that even if you have no experience, they're going to treat you the same. And if you feel like, oh, I'm not going to be able to keep up with the rest of their athletes, let's say if they've got like a lot of people in there with a lot of experience, but they're going to cater to you for the most part. They're going to give you some simpler drills so that you're learning and not having to feel the need to keep up with everyone else and possibly injure yourself. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've actually had a couple new people this week, and I like to think I pushed them in the right direction where I wasn't super. I don't think I look too friendly in the gym. I don't think I'm the friendliest looking guy, but I think they really warmed up to me after I had a little conversation with them, and I told them, like, I can teach you how to throw the perfect jab all day. I can teach you how to throw these combinations perfectly all day. You just got to do it, and you got to do it at your own pace, and you got to want to do it. Do you know what I mean? If this isn't what you want to do, it's not what you want to do.
Right.
And their response is always positive. They're like, no, I want to get good at this, and thank you for making me feel like I can come here and just be at the level that I'm at and just grow from there. I'm like, yeah, of course, absolutely. Because nobody wins if you walk into a gym like, I have no experience, and then I tell you to get out. You're like,
Right.
I'm not gonna do that. So
Would you say this sport helps mental health? Because we have a lot of problems, mental health issues, things like that. Would you say that it helps with mental health?
absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
Especially a lot of guys, you know,
For
unfortunately,
sure. Yeah.
they go through depression and a lot
Letting-
of other problems.
It's a great way to let off steam,
Right.
that's for sure.
Right.
To use a real example, I've had a few people come in, and I actually had a new client recently tell me about how he lost his son. And his son was like 4 years old, and he lost his son to I believe it was brain cancer.
Yeah.
And at that age, there's like a 0% chance of surviving that. And he came to me, and I met him on the street, like right in front of Boxing RX, funny enough, in Glendale. And he was like, hey, how do I sign up? And I kind of talked to him a little bit. And before he knew it, he was a private client of mine. He came in, and after our first session, he picked up on it really well. He had never boxed before, and he got really good at it. He was a natural athlete from back. I don't remember what sport he played back in the
Right.
day, but he was athletic. So for him, it wasn't too difficult to pick up. But afterwards, he told me the story about how his son had passed away, and how this is kind of an outlet for him to just kind of focus on his body, train in a sport, a brand new sport at that. And I've only been training him for a couple weeks, but I do see a little bit of a change in his demeanor now. Like he's walking a little more upright now, not so, he's not looking down at his feet too much anymore. But I'm proud of him. Shout out Michael.
Wow.
I'm shouting a lot of people out.
Yeah. That's really sad, honestly.
No, and I was really happy to hear that he was
Yeah.
taking he and his wife are both taking like the proper steps to healing, and
Yeah.
I'm proud of them. They have a newborn that is happy, healthy. It's a beautiful little baby, and I'm happy to see them doing the best that they can with the situation they're in.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes that's all you can do, right? Just
Yeah.
do the best you can with the situation you have. Yeah, that's heavy.
I know it's hard to pick up after that.
Yeah.
It's hard
Yeah,
to go
yeah.
from
That's
where do we go from there?
Yeah.
In my experience, though, when it comes to like my mental health, let's say, training doesn't really do anything for me personally. Like whatever I'm going through in my personal life, if I go and I hit the bag for an hour, it does nothing for me.
Sure.
I think it's only because I've been doing it for so long that to me it's just, this is just what I do. It's my sport. Like this is what I do to train. This is what I do to get better. It's not really an outlet for me, but I have other outlets. Like listening to music does a lot for me too. Listening to specific artists, specific albums, through and through, will get me through almost any tough time.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you have your own specific thing, because it might not work for everyone, you know?
Yeah, no, what works for me probably won't work for you, and what works for you might not work for me, but that's a good thing. Like I don't want to push my method of mental healing onto anybody, you know?
Right.
I could recommend it, be like, try it out. Maybe listening to, Life After Death by Biggie might make you feel a little better about yourself. I don't know, but that's what it does for me.
Right. Okay, I see. What piece of advice would you have to anyone that is interested in the culinary field and wants to go into it?
Go into it knowing what you want to do, and go into it knowing that it's a lot of hard work, and it's not an episode of Kitchen Nightmares where one day your restaurant's, a dumpster fire, and the next day it's amazing and you're making all this money now. And you got to go in a little more with no expectations, and just go in with the mentality that I got to learn. I got a lot to learn and a lot of work to do. Like that's what I recommend. But definitely know what you're going into that field for. Because I've known a lot of people that went into it with a completely different idea of what their experience was going to be like, and they hate the culinary arts now because of it.
Oh, wow.
But then I meet people that maybe didn't know exactly what they wanted to do, but they had an idea. They went in, and then they came out of culinary school, and they loved their experience. They have nothing but good things to say about it.
And are they still working in that field? Yeah.
They
Okay.
either started a business with someone they went to school with, or they started a business on their own, or their own catering company, whatever. Or they became a TikTok chef, whatever it might be. 'Cause some of
Yeah.
these TikTok chefs are legit.
Yeah, some of them do very well. I know there's one I follow. I just can't remember her name right now. I'm blanking out on it, but
I'm terrible with names.
I know.
I can't remember any of them.
Yeah. But it is cool regardless. 'Cause
Yeah.
It's like a different outlet. Yeah.
For sure.
Well, one thing I want to do. So Haikyuu, like I said, certified ass kicker. So we actually have some boxing gear, some mitts and everything.
Yeah.
This guy's gonna show me some of his moves. So we're gonna put this on right now. We're gonna
Oh,
see
boy.
what he could do. Okay?
What I can do.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Let's do this.
Well, you're the pro, aren't you? Yeah. Okay, like I was saying, we're gonna be training a little bit. I'm here with the Mid Master Hype, with the pro. So the Mid Master is gonna teach me a little bit. You ready?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it.
Jab, cross, hook. Cross, roll. Cross, hook, cross. Cross. Up. Other hand. Cross. Hook. Up. Cross. Woo! Drop bombs.
How'd I do?
Very nice.
Thanks.
Heavy punches.
There we go. All right. Yeah, so tell me a little bit about who's trained you. Like, who are your coaches? Because you had to learn from somebody, and who's trained you?
Self-taught. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. I've had some amazing coaches throughout the years, man. It's hard to pick one. Currently, I've got two coaches that I work pretty close with. I train with his name's Matthew Rodick, Roadhouse. Shout out Roadhouse. I train.
Where's
with
that
him-
located?
I train with him at Legacy in Burbank.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just do privates with him. He and I have really good chemistry together. So he and I just train really. We get a lot of good rounds in together. And then I have my coach that I've been with since I was like 16. His name's Bill Petchprom. Training with him, he used to beat the shit out of me when I was a kid. He would whoop my ass as a kid. A lot of what I know from is all thanks to him, really.
Right.
He and I've trained with a lot of people before and after him, but every time I look back, my base for Muay Thai really came from him. I've trained with a lot of people. I've trained with big name coaches. I've trained with Dewey Cooper, who trains Francis Ngannou.
Oh, wow.
I think
Okay.
I believe he's training Cody Garbrandt too. He's trained everybody. He's trained a lot of people. He's an outstanding striking coach. He's an outstanding MMA coach in general, but his striking, the way he coaches his striking is insane. So anytime I'm out in Vegas and I reach out to him, I pray that so I can get out and get some training. I've trained with the UFC veteran, multiple Muay Thai world champ. Another guy that I've got really good chemistry with when it comes to training. 'Cause his style, I like his style a lot. Like we have a pretty similar style in terms of just wanting to put pressure on and just punch, kick hard.
How'd you and Anthony meet?
Anthony, I went over to his gym. He and Dewey Cooper, I believe, trained at the same gym. I went to One Kick's gym in Las Vegas and just asked about coaches. I was like, hey, so I normally train with Dewey because Dewey was out of town that weekend that I was in Vegas. I was like, I usually train with Dewey Cooper over here, but I'm in town and I really want to get some training. And who do you guys have? And I didn't know that Anthony Njokuani and his brother, Chidi Njokuani, trained at that gym. Because the owner of the gym, Nick, took my number down. He's like, I'll call you and I'll let you know who can be your trainer. I'm like, all right, cool. I go back to my hotel room and I get a call from him and he was like, hey, so Anthony was going to be your coach. I'm like, oh, cool. Anthony who? Like who's the guy? And he goes, oh, Anthony Njokuani. I was like, what? No fucking way.
Yeah.
So I was a little starstruck, but I didn't want him to know that. Because when I walked in and I saw him like holding pads for one of the other people in the gym, I was like, holy shit, that's him. Holy shit, that's him. And that was back in like 2017. Yeah, training with him since then. Anytime I go out to Vegas, I reach out to Anthony and Dewey, and I'm just like, hey, I got to get some rounds in with you guys. I've sparred with Anthony. I've trained with him. He's a monster, man. It was always a pleasure training with Anthony.
Would you ever consider, because you got your striking down, stand-up fighting, and you got your Muay Thai, you got your boxing, trained with all these world-class people that you just talked about. Are you good on your ground game?
I'm okay. I don't think I can hold a candle to most people that have been training for a few years, but I'm all right. I think I'm better at my defense on the ground than I am actually like
Offense, like attacking.
Yeah.
Okay, I see.
I did jujitsu for a lot of nogi jujitsu for I want to say maybe 5 years. And I did jujitsu in the gi at a Gracie bar gym, and it just wasn't for me.
Yeah, I actually did Brazilian jiu-jitsu. I think it was nogi in college, because in college they had like they had a class you could take, and it was fun, but it wasn't for me. That I didn't really like it.
No.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not that I didn't like it. It just similar to other sports that I played. It just didn't satisfy that itch I have.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I respect it a lot, and I love to watch.
Oh no, it's great.
I love to watch like world-class jiu-jitsu guys just go at it.
Yeah.
And I love to roll with them just to see how long is it gonna take me to like get caught in something. You know what I mean? It's great, but it's just not for me.
Yeah.
Personally.
Like personally, I've done judo for a little, like on and off 2 years. I like that way more than Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Really?
No hate on BJJ. It's fine.
Yeah.
It just judo was better for me, and I really like boxing as well. So, yeah. So would you ever see yourself competing MMA? Because you have some background. You have your boxing, you have your Muay Thai. You said your ground game. You have some defense there, so you're pretty well rounded, pretty young guy. So do you think you'll ever go into that?
I've thought about it. I've thought about it a lot, actually.
And
I don't know, man. That's tough. If I'm gonna do it, I would probably want to do it within the next year, maybe.
Right.
Yeah. Just to say that I've done it. You know what I mean? But I don't think I would go too deep into it. But I would just do it just for fun.
what makes the perfect coach? What's that it factor when someone's looking for the coach? What should they be looking for? Can you give us some insight?
You got to look for somebody that's gonna be down to invest in you. Willing to put in the time, willing to be an asshole to you, man. You got to have a coach like beat you up a little bit. You can't have a coach to constantly your coach is not a cheerleader. Do you know what I mean? Like as much experience as I have doing this, like my coach, who I think I've been training longer than he has, he still criticizes me and like gives me pointers, gives me new drills, gives me stuff I need to work on. You know what I mean? Like it's not, like I said, he's not my cheerleader. Like he's there to help me get better. So he's not telling me like, you're so good. He's not. He's telling me like, dude, like you're great, but you got to add this to your game. We got to do this. We got to work on this. Always trying to elevate. You might not be learning anything new after a certain point, but you're learning how to do everything better. Whatever you know how to do it better. And when selecting a coach, man, you got to be really careful because in this business, there's a lot of snakes. And maybe not snakes. Snakes get a bad rap. And I'm not just saying that because I have a snake tattooed on my arm. I'm not just saying that because I have a snake tattooed on my arm. They're roaches out there, man. They're sneaky. They're flaky. I trained with another big name coach. I'm not going to name names, but
Sure.
He's trained a lot of champs in his day. But
Like world champions and everything?
world champs,
Yeah.
MMA champs, boxing champs. I reached out to him. I didn't even think I was going to get a response from him. I found his number on his website. I gave him a call and I wanted to train with him. And I trained with him for a cool minute. And then I paid him up front for 10 sessions. I paid him $1,000 for 10 sessions, which not a bad deal for that kind of level of coaching.
Sure.
But after 3 sessions, he ghosted me.
Wow.
And he trained out.
That's not cool.
He trained out real far from me. So it's not like I couldn't just randomly drive up to the gym and just be like, yo, what the hell, man? Like, it's cool if you don't want to train me, but can I get my money back? And I was like 16 or 17 or something at the time. I was young. So like, dude, like you took money from a kid. And it wasn't even my money, bro. It was my parents' money.
Yeah.
I had to convince my parents to be like, yo, let me train with him. I really want to train with him. Like he's really good. And I don't think my dad ever came down with me. My mom came down to check him out. He's like, if he's so good, like I want to watch you train with him. And she was sold. She was like, yeah, this guy's awesome. He's legit. So yeah, I'm down for you to train with him. But 3 sessions in, he just completely ghosted me. I mean, I learned a lot from him. Like in those 3 sessions, plus I think I had maybe another 5 without paying him up front. I would just pay him when I would see him. I learned a lot from him. Like the list would go on and on. Like he taught me a lot in a very short amount of time. He's a great coach, but I was just like, damn, dude, like why you gotta do me like that? Why'd you have to do me like that?
Did you ever see him after that happened?
Funny enough, I did. I saw him at you know Vanes Martirosyan, the
fighter,
Armenian
yes,
boxer.
yes,
Yeah, he during the I went to the one of his fights when he fought Triple G. And I was sitting pretty close to the ring, and he was there, and he walked by me, and we both locked eyes, like we made eye contact, and I was about to be like, "Hey, what's up?" And he just his eyes kind of went like wide, and then just turned around and just kept walking. I was like, "Damn, all right, cool. That's how we're gonna do it then. All right." But like I said, his gym was really far, so I wasn't gonna drive all the way out there for that. I was like, I'm like, he's not worth that kind of effort. I mean, I was out $700. My parents were out $700, but it is what it is. It's all good. But you just gotta be careful, man. You gotta be selective on who you train with. You gotta really trust your trainer. If I don't trust my trainer 100%, I won't even let you hold one kick for me. Do you know what I mean? Like I gotta trust you 100%.
Yeah. Because it's like your health and safety on the line.
100,
too.
especially if you're going out to fight.
Yeah, it's your
Like,
well-being.
100%. And I have a couple of crazy stories about like my coaching and all that kind of stuff. It's insane. Like with right before fights.
Tell me.
Like one of my coaches actually got really drunk at one of my fights.
Like before you were fighting?
Right before I was about to go out and fight.
Okay.
Homie got really drunk. Like it's funny now. It wasn't funny back then. Like he couldn't wrap my hands properly. So my hands were like this in the glove. So I couldn't even punch properly. My hands were all fucked up. But I didn't even get to really warm up because he was out there getting drunk. So he came in, he was holding mitts or holding pads for me to hit, and his arm was like collapsing as I'm trying to hit, and I got pissed. He probably won't remember this, but I punched him in the face. Like I just clocked him. And as I was hitting him, like I'm pulling back because I'm like, fuck, I should not be hitting him. Like no matter what, I should not be hitting my coach. But I hit him. Like I pulled back a little too late. So I pulled back on a little bit of power. So he didn't get knocked out, but he was definitely not
there.
Yeah, no. And it made it worse that he was drunk.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Yeah, funny. And he actually, like, as I was about to walk in the ring, he like pulled me and he was like, if you hit this guy the way you hit me in the locker room, bro, he's gonna get knocked the fuck out. And he let me go. He let me go in and fight. I lost the fight by decision because I was so like out of it. I did like I wanted to like get my head on straight. I didn't even give a shit about the guy hitting me. I'm just like running around the ring trying to compose myself a little bit because all I hear is just like incoherent babble from my corner from my drunk coach.
Right.
It was a mess. It was a mess. But we actually trained years after that too. We continued to train together after that. Like it wasn't.
How'd you squash that beef though?
There was no beef, bro. It was just it was a shitty situation. We both talked about it, and it was over and done with. I was just kind of like, you know, whatever happened. Like it's done. But you know, history goes a long way for me in any sort of relationship. So I wasn't about to just throw that all away because of that. And it made for a cool story to tell.
It's funny. It's definitely funny.
It was hilarious.
Yeah,
Look,
hilarious.
like at the time, like I said, it was not funny. Like my sister was actually in my corner for that fight, and she punched the wall and like really jacked her hand up because she was so pissed that happened. Oh man, it was crazy. Yeah,
Does she compete too?
No, but she should. She would hurt some people.
She'd do good. She'd be well. Yeah.
She's trained with me a few times. Yeah, she hits hard, man. My sister hits really fucking hard.
Does she? Is your family like in sports?
My sister played basketball. When she was in high school, she played for Home Etman, I think.
Right.
I don't remember if she did anything else, but I know she played basketball. She's a big basketball fan.
Basketball. Okay, I see. Okay, and yeah, just getting back to the coach thing. What I know, I asked, what do you have to look out for in a coach? When do you know it's time to like part ways from a coach? Like you learned everything you could, and now it's time to evolve.
I would never say you should part ways with a coach. I think it's good to be able to train with a lot of people. Like I don't believe in burning bridges, especially in this sport, because we're such a small community. Like I think we should all like be pretty tight together. There's so many like gym beefs. There's so many beefs between like fighters and other athletes, and this person trains at that gym, so we don't like them, and whatever. Just a lot of silly shit.
Yeah.
But you should be able to train with everybody and gain, and you'll learn a little something new from everybody. One of the people that I've been training for the past year, she had never liked working out until she came to the Outsider and started training boxing with me and the other coaches over there. And I've been her main coach this whole time. And not too long ago, I took her over to Craft Boxing Club in Calabasas, where another one of my best friends trains at. And the coaches there are fantastic.
Sure.
I was like, I want you to come take a class with me there and work out there, because their classes are not like other classes. They're pretty similar to the way I kind of run my classes, where it's a little more personal. I'm gonna hold mitts. They hold mitts a lot. I'm gonna give you something practical, something real, something you could use to defend yourself. You could use when you compete, when you spar, while also giving you a workout, like really trying to make you sweat. And I told them, like, I want you to come with me and take a class there. She's like, why? Like, I can't take a class with any other coach. I'm like, yeah, of course you can. I'm condoning it. I want you to take class with other coaches. That's not to say you're gonna not train with me anymore, or that I can't keep teaching you and helping you evolve. It's just you're getting a different perspective. You're getting a different style of coaching from this person. And that other coach that she took, whose class she took, was more about defense and more about getting those sneaky punches in. And I'm like, that's a great tool to have, and I want you to have that. I'm not the best at teaching that specifically, so I'm gonna take you to someone that is. She still trains with me at least 4 or 5 times a week, but every now and again I'm like, I want you to train with this person. I want you to go train with this person. Like about, I want to say a couple months ago, I went to San Diego to train with Mick Queen. She coached Michael B. Jordan for the new Creed movie, for the Creed 3 movie.
Right. Yeah. Actually, yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
You posted it.
I brought her with me, my member, my close friend, my member with me to train with her. I was like, I want you to train with her. I think it's really dope for you to train with her. So we went out there and I did a session with her, and then my member did a session with her. And she learned a lot from her. And she learned a lot from the coach at Craft. Like, it's just about learning a little bit from everyone. And you got to know that if you're going to call yourself a coach, if you're going to call yourself a fighter, you got to make sure you're elevating your game at all times. Change it up, add new combinations to your repertoire. You always got to elevate your game. So you may, you'll go take a class somewhere, you'll learn what you learn from this coach, and then you'll let's say you'll part ways for a little while, but then you'll go back to that coach sometime later. And you're like, oh, wow, his mitt work's changed. Oh, his combination style has changed. Everything's changed on him now. Everyone's trying to every good coach is trying to elevate their game.
Yeah. I know we had a little session a second ago. From what you saw back then to now, have I changed my mitt work or my stance?
Yeah, you, in the beginning, this isn't really a criticism to you, but like you wouldn't really sit on your punches too much. Like you would just kind of hit.
Yeah.
And not like focus too hard on those punches. Your punches were hitting deep now.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, this is good. Clearly you had been training after you left RX, so I was happy to see that.
Yeah. You were a great trainer. I want to shout out Rocco Santamaro, great trainer. Why am I blanking out? At Rocco Santamaro at
Brick House.
Brick House,
yeah.
yes.
Brick House is legit, man.
Yeah, Brick House, and then Kareem Hackett was also a very good trainer at Brick House. So they were both great trainers. So
yeah, Brick House is
I have
legit.
you and those guys to thank. So you guys were great.
Always.